one, and we are on Adam. Good evening, Adam.
Good day.
Good day. Good day. How's the weather today in Toronto, Canada?
Cold but not snowy.
Not snowy. So it was
No.
snowing last week, and
Warms up a little, melts a little. Yeah, we had a lot of rain last weekend, I guess, and it melted all the snow away. So no snow.
so good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Today is another Wednesday, and after testing different days, we have found with Adam that this time really suits us and you really well. So today with you is one and only Adam Vickers, so the main industry legend. And we have three parts. The first part will be for those who want to broker domain names. So how to broker a domain name. Second part, Adam will review a British domain portfolio. So those will be .co.uk and .uk names, interesting ones. And the third part, you are most welcome to ask your questions. And of course, you can even say hello, good evening, everybody. So how has been your week, Adam, regarding the domains?
It was good. I know we talked about a couple domains that were pending last week. One of them,
Yes.
one of them has already gone through, and I've been paid for it, so that's good. I'm happy about that one. The other one just takes time. Sometimes these things take a little longer than others, or sometimes they just take longer than we'd like. But no, it's been a good week. It's been a good week.
Adam, talking about brokers, domain name brokers, how many are there worldwide good brokers that you would say, hey, they are good brokers?
Are you talking about companies or individuals?
Both.
I would say good or really good. I would say about 6.
6?
Yeah, probably.
And that's it?
Yeah, probably. That's just been my experience. Now, I haven't dealt
Okay.
with all of them, but there's certain ways that I like transactions to go so that I feel more comfortable with a transaction. May not be the same as other people. So,
And are they companies mostly or individuals?
there's a couple companies that I feel comfortable brokering domain names with, and there's individuals that I feel comfortable with. A lot of the time, I think I'm more comfortable with individuals than with companies, and I'll explain why.
Yes.
So part of the problem is, let's say you get an offer on a domain name, and let's say somebody comes to me and says, look, I have this offer on this domain name, $5,000 for richmondhill.com. Then I don't have it in the system, so I don't really know what's going on. And I've got to figure out if they've been offered 25 and they're just giving me 5 to make me happy,
Yes.
or what the story is. So when I have a transaction brokered, I absolutely need full transparency, and there's not a lot of places you can get that. So what I mean by that is I need to see the offer and the buyer and see it come in, and then I need to see it go out. And even if they're taking commission and I've agreed to the commission, I'm fine with that being there. But I want to see what the seller is paying and what I'm receiving and what the broker is actually getting, rather than having blind offers that I know have come in to me and others before, where it comes in and it says, oh, I've got a great name. I've got somebody that'll buy it for you for 100K. And they turn around and sell it for 200K. And because I was blind to the whole process, I don't really know.
Has it happened before?
I'm sure it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. You just have to have full transparency on your transactions. It's the same thing as when somebody asks you to sign an exclusive agreement with them. To me, that doesn't mean anything. It just means they're trying to lock up your name. So if you sell it over the next year to anybody, they
Yes.
can claim commission. I'm happy with saying, look, if you bring me the buyer, I will gladly pay you your commission. But why do I need to lock it up for a year or two if you already have a buyer? What's the point of that?
Of course. And just for you.
Yes. And that happens. That used to happen a lot more in the past. I don't know if it happens all that much now, but I prefer to be involved in transactions where I know what it is, I know what it's going out as, and it's much simpler.
Of course.
So,
and can you name the good ones, please?
well, if you're talking about a company,
Yes.
I mean, I've had. I don't want to limit anybody. I can just give you the ones that I've been dealing with for transactions in the last little while. I've had some good offers come in through Uniregistry and through
Okay.
Sato. And
Pseudo code, yes.
I've had domains come and go. But again, I sometimes I don't really know, because what happens is the companies will come to me around the process and say, well, I've got somebody, well, even that AG one that we sold that was, 10,000 euros. They came to me through email, a rep from Sado, and I'm not saying there was anything faulty about it. And they said,
Yes.
we have somebody who's willing to give you 10,000 euros for this domain name. So the person never came to me. I never talked to them. Next thing I know, it's in a Sado escrow transaction for $10,000. Now, because it's Sado, I will, I'm certainly not questioning it. I'm saying that you don't know. I've had them with many different places where they come to me and say, well, we have an offer for 10,000, 15, or 5,000. And you don't know if it's the best offer because you don't even know who the customer is. You haven't spoken to them, but you have to figure out what's going on. Now, am I happy with the price? I guess that's really what I have to look at. But I don't like dealing with transactions where I really don't know what's going on. I did a transaction for a big name before that was $65,000, I think. And I agreed to pay 10% to the guy who negotiated for me because it was his friend that had the domain name. So we put it on escrow. He put on escrow. He showed who the buyer was, who the seller was, how much the commission was, and what my net profit would be. That was much more, I was happier with that process because I could actually see what I was getting and what the broker and what the buyer was actually paying instead of having it all hidden and covered up. So I don't tend to trust in general when I get a blind offer from somebody.
Okay.
Because it makes me nervous. I don't know if I'm giving away money. I don't know if I'm being stupid about the process. So I tend to question it. And I question it more about myself than anybody else's motivation. But it's very easy if you're blinded for somebody to say, well, I want my 10 or 15% on a $100,000 domain name, and they get that and they sell it for $250 or something. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else I've had broker domains from. Usually I'm selling domains myself.
Yes.
But sometimes you put a whole bunch on a parking platform or on a selling platform and you get some offers. So those are fine because I'm not really expecting them. But a lot of other times you never know, and I'd rather be involved in the whole process than have part of the process hidden from me.
So Uniregistry, Sido does outreaching by themselves as well. So that's good.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it depends on your relationship with the company, and it also depends on the value of your names. They're not going to go look for a three-word dashed number domain name and try to find me a buyer. But if it's a good generic name or something like that, or they have people that tend to buy the same type of names all the times, then they may suggest they have this name for a medical thing, or this name a guy who buys acronyms, or somebody else who buys other types of names that looks for them. So they'll do that, and companies will do that too. But I get asked for people to broker domain names quite a bit, and they want me to sign something and do something. And like I said, I don't have any problem. If you bring me a buyer for a domain name, I don't have any problem with the commission. I just want to know that that you're not lying to me and we're actually selling it for the same price. And I'm not saying that all brokers are crooked. I'm just saying that my experience in the past is full transparency is a lot better in anything than half transparency. And that's it. I mean, I've had good dealings with some one-on-one people that have brokered domain names, but generally I've been selling my own. The big ones I've sold all, I believe, through myself. I don't think anybody. I bought one through a broker, but I haven't sold one through a broker lately, unless it's just names I'm just trying to get rid of because I really don't need them anymore. I'm just trying to cash out because it's not an area I want to go to.
So that would be tip actually number one. Be transparent. Always be transparent.
Oh, absolutely. But it's hard to get that. It's hard to get that on every side. And it's just hard because you don't know usually the broker doesn't want to tell you who the buyer is, which I don't really understand, because if it's a committed deal, I think you should be able to find out who it is. You're going to know anyway after the domain transfer. So it's not like it's a complete secret. So it's not like I'm going to change my commissioner. I'm going to go around them or anything. So I just think that I'm not sure. My other issue is with not, and this is tip number 2, my other issue with going through somebody else is I'm not sure they're getting me the best price, or they're just working on getting a good sale and a commission. So that's
maybe commission from both sides.
Could be. But I'm not convinced that somebody will fight as hard as I would to get the best price for the domain name. So they may be happy with me selling it at $50,000 because it's a good $5,000 commission for them. but I may be able to get $300,000 or $400,000 because I care more and I'm more into it and I'm negotiating the name for myself. For them, an extra $5,000 may not mean as much as an extra $300,000 or $200,000
Yes.
for the actual seller. So that's my other tip, and it's something that I'm always thinking about when somebody brings me a somewhat low ball offer. I once had a broker call me to ask if I would raise my price so they could get a larger commission.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wonder half the time. I wonder, who are they working for? Are they working for? It's almost like a lawyer where you almost need a broker and they almost need a broker to help you, so that you know you have someone on your side who isn't just trying to close the sale. I mean, if they ask you to raise the price so they can get a larger commission, that's okay if they have a buyer. It's not okay if they're just asking for a larger commission where they're not going to sell it anyway. Then you could raise it to $1 million. It doesn't matter at that point, and they really won't see that larger commission. In that case, I would say, listen, I'm okay to give you an extra 5% or 3% if you sell
Yes.
it within a week or 3 days or 2 days and things like that. So there's stuff you can do there without having to raise the price.
Yes, that is a good tip. Yes.
So that's those are a couple of things that I keep an eye on when I'm brokering, which is really selling my own domain names. And the other thing is, there are some people that have really good brokering skills, and there's some people in the domain industry that have very lousy sales skills. So it's not that you really need a broker. You need somebody that can handle the sales and negotiation, because you recognize it's not one of your strengths for most people. And I would say, based on numbers even that domains sell for, that people are not getting as much as they can in general for the domain names. And I'm not talking about brokering. I'm talking about even sales, any sort of sales. You have to know when to sell and you have to know what to buy, but you don't want to sell too early, or you will be selling a name for $500 that you could have got for $10,000. You haven't done all your research or anything else.
Adam, what are the usual commissions for the brokers? Let us say somebody wants to be a broker and he thinks, well, how much can I make?
So it could be anywhere from 10 to 20%. That's usual from what I've seen. It could be 10, 15, or 20. Some will try to get as high as 25. I'm not sure the commission matters as much as it does that you don't lock up the name and that they may actually have somebody who can buy the name. I mean, because you can set the commission at 10% or 20%. Again, if they've got somebody who's interested in the name, it'll be a quick sale, and they probably won't need you to sign an agreement unless it's just a one-page agreement for sale. But you probably won't have to sign an exclusive. If somebody comes to you and tells you they have people that are interested, but they want you to sign for 3 to 6 months or lock it up, that's ridiculous. That means they don't have somebody who they trust that will buy it and not go around them, or they don't just want to lock up your domain name. So if you sell it through Sato or anywhere else, they can request a commission. So
what was the American guy? He owns a Linked. So there is LinkedIn and there is linked.com. Awesome American guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's one of the top domainers as well.
Okay.
Now you
don't know.
You don't know the guy, no?
No.
If our watchers could help me out, E Corp.
Oh yeah, is that Elliot?
Yeah. Oh no, not Elliot. No,
I don't.
No, Sam Corp. And I actually brokered a domain name for him. I had perfect buyer and trusted on the word, as I did check for me. I had a client and that was a perfect domain for them. They wanted to start a franchise.
Right.
So they needed to get a .com name, two-word domain name. We negotiated the price. So at the beginning, I approached the domainer. I said he was very skeptical, and I understand him. And he just gave me his word that he will pay the commission.
How long did that whole process take?
He sold the domain name for $50,000 US.
Yeah,
and that is a good price.
Yeah,
but of course, and from my side, I did explain. I explained to my clients that, look, this is a domainer, one of the top 10 or 15 domainers in the world. All of those domainers, they have 20,000 plus domain names in their portfolio, and the prices will always start with from 40 to 50,000.
Right.
as they need to have few of those big sales just to manage the renewals. So I explained the whole process. I educated the client
Hmm.
and made the sale possible. And by the way, those guys tried to buy the company, tried to acquire that domain name for 3 years, and they could
Hmm.
not for some reason. They just could not. And we agreed on split payments. We agreed on split payments, and everybody and split payments were paid off in 6 months through, yes, through escrow.com, actually.
But
Yes.
how long did it take you to negotiate the whole transaction? Not the payments, but
1 month,
negotiate it.
maybe less than 1 month.
Okay. Did you have to sign any exclusive information? Did you ask for any exclusive
No, I did not.
agreements?
I did not.
Okay.
I'm Eastern European living in the UK. For me, a
But
handshake is good enough. Domain industry is so small. It is tiny.
yeah, but the other thing is you had a real client.
Yes,
That's the
absolutely.
big difference. You're not just going to them saying, "Look, I'd like to get this. It may take a month or two. It may take 6 months.
Yes.
I need to lock it up and put that guy at a
Yes.
disadvantage."
Yes.
You brought him an actual client.
Yes.
Did you let him talk to the client, or did
At
you
the
deal with
beginning,
it?
no. At the beginning, in the beginning, I did not disclose the name of the client.
Okay.
I actually did not want for the price to go up.
Okay.
And in that case, if he did the search, I would. I was afraid that
Okay.
he could raise the price.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Well,
But in the end, the deal was done, and it was done rather
absolutely.
quickly, and there
Yes.
wasn't a whole lot of
Absolutely.
paperwork or
No, no, no,
exclusiveness.
no,
It
no
was
headache, no headache, nothing.
well. That's the difference when a broker brings you a client rather than
Yes.
bringing you thoughts of a client. It's a big difference because I could find a domain and think, okay, there's 100 companies I can approach if only he will sign with me or she will sign with me. But that doesn't help. That's not real. That's a pipe dream.
And for those who want to be brokers, if you are in those shoes, I was like maybe 5 years ago. The percentage was good, 15%.
So
So I shared it with somebody else, and of course you
but
always
it's
have a
good.
share.
I
Yes.
did for Troy Rushton. I did a 2 or 3 day course on how to broker a domain name, and I have the footage somewhere. It's about 20 hours worth of tape and stuff on
Ooh.
how to broker
Yes.
them. I'll have to dig it up, but there's a lot of different things that you need to know. Even when you're selling your own name, you're brokering it. You're still there's no middleman, but technically you're trying to sell your own domain name. A broker is just somebody else trying to sell the name for you, but hopefully they have leads. Otherwise, they're just going to look through Google and anywhere else you could look, like LinkedIn, and find somebody, which is still a good broker if you don't have the sales skills.
Adam, what is the very basis from the business side a broker should do? Should he create a limited company, be sole trader, or you can go without any registrations? Let us start with the very basic things.
You know, it depends if it's a one-off or if you're going to start a business. If it's a one-off, then
Yes,
obviously you don't need to incorporate, but you should incorporate because somehow you're going to have to declare the income.
yes. And if
So
you want to start working
yeah, if you
as
want to
a
start doing it and
doing it
making
professionally,
contacts and finding all the right domain names and digging around, you listen. You can also look for people post names that they want, all types of names they want all the time. Then you can approach people that have those type of names and say, "Look, I have somebody who's looking for this domain name. They've offered this much figures. I'd like to broker the domain for you if you're interested," and then go from there. So you definitely want to, if you're going to do it as a business, you definitely have to incorporate a business, and you have to set up with proper invoicing and proper paperwork and get a lawyer to do a proper contract for your company if you actually want to do it as a business. You need a proper domain sales agreement. There's a
yes.
few things that you'll require,
So if you
including
are if
process.
you if you are in the US or Canada, how people can get cheap or affordable lawyer help?
First of all, there's a lot of documents. You can even Google documents that are already out there in public on websites that are called domain broker agreements or
Yes,
domain seller agreement and things like that. And you can even go with one of those, or you can edit. And obviously, you're going to change some of the stuff that's more for your jurisdiction and things like that. But I don't think it's a lot of people may have somebody in the family they know that can read it over. It could be anybody, or they can call an actual domain lawyer if they really want to go that far. There's a lot of good ones out there. Personally, I would just have a regular lawyer review the contract and make sure it's legitimate and it's not and it's assigning rights and rules and regulations for the country you're in and not the country they're
yes.
in. And then just go ahead and run your business. Go find sales.
What is the process of selling the domain for a broker? So he's a middleman. How professional broker sells a domain?
So for me, if I was brokering a domain for somebody else, I would obviously find it, assuming that I already had the buyer or I found the buyer, then I would put the transaction in escrow.com or
Okay.
another escrow service where I could clearly show and be transparent about who the buyer was, who the seller was, how much the commission is, and then the seller will know that I'm being honest with them. I mean, of course, people could always do sneaky things and say, well, I'm going to put it in escrow for 50, but you'll owe me 20 on the side. Now, hopefully they don't go that far, but you're still going to be as transparent as you can. If you're dealing with a company, they won't do that anyway. A big company, they'll put it in for whatever it is. So I would put it into escrow or any other escrow service that offers transparency where you can make it public so that you can all see all the information.
Okay.
And then I would just process a transaction like that. And I have had transactions like that before. I think, like I said, I was the buyer with that. And even when I was a seller or when I was leasing to own that other domain name, I made sure everything was available for everybody to see.
So the main broker, together with the main seller, sets up escrow transaction.
Yeah, so you log in, the broker can log in, set up the transaction. He lists who the buyer is, who the seller is, and he puts his own commission in, and there automatically the buyer and the seller are sent emails to confirm that they agree with this transaction, and then the information, once they both agree, is shared. The buyer is told where to wire the money to the seller. The commission comes out from escrow. Escrow gets all the money. They take out the broker's portion. They send that to the broker, and then they send the seller their portion as well. And you can see to the penny what's gone to each person. And I'm sure other companies have this. I've just used escrow.com for it. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
Are there any Canadian domain name brokers that have approached you? So you are in Canada, and still you've got
I would say no.
Huge portfolio. You actually,
I would say.
Sorry, I do apologize for my French. You scared the shit out of me when you said that you have around 20,000 domain names.
Well, I mean,
and
I love them all like they're my babies. That's the truth. I mean, listen, people will ask me, and every domain, yes. A lot of domainers know this. Even if you have 5,000, 1,000, 50,000, you know, if somebody mentions a name, you'll scratch your head and go, wait, don't I have that? It's very rare that I will Google a name that I'm interested in buying and I actually own it. I think that may have happened to me twice in my life, but I did have somebody recently Google a name that they wanted to buy, and they couldn't figure out who owned it, and they finally figured out it was me who owned it, and It was a new Canadian. He owns a domain forum that he just started, dn.ca, and he was looking to buy julie.ca for his wife's blog, and when he found out it was me, he was like, oh. So there you go.
Bad news or good news?
No, it's bad and good. I was teasing him. I think I sent back an offer of $250,000 just to get rid of him, not to talk to him because it's my daughter's name. And then he posted something.
Of course, it was for the guy.
Well, and then somebody posted on the forum, maybe you can negotiate with him to take off 10, like 25,000. And then I posted back and said, I could be negotiable for that. I guess it really depends how much you love your wife for her blog. But he's a really good guy. So anyway.
Are the conversations getting somewhere?
With that? No. No, we have not. I mean, we're buddies. We haven't really talked about it, but I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Either way.
So you have julie.ca. Your daughter's name is Julie. That domain name is for her, but still.
But still, everything's for sale for the right price. I'm not telling my daughter the domain name.
Sorry, Julie.
Yeah, she doesn't come with a domain name. I also have amanda.ca, which is my daughter's, another daughter's name.
Yes, so good evening to everybody. And of course, British viewers, good evening, everybody. So Acorn domains.co.uk is #1 UK domain name forum for all those watching globally. In the UK, there is one main domain name forum, acorndomains.co.uk. Absolutely fantastic. And the people there, most professional ones.
I have been there. I haven't been there in a while, but I think I need to go and find a home on a good forum. Um, other than Murray,
So
I
Murray
haven't.
has, yeah,
I
go
haven't
on.
been there in a while, but I'll definitely check it out. It's been around for a long time. That much I know.
Yes, they've redesigned and they're doing a good job.
It was probably a thorn in my side when I had dnforum.com, but not now, so it's all good.
So, what next? So, setting up the business is set up,
Yep.
legal agreements are set up. What next? Where to get the connections? Where to register? To to be active on Facebook groups, forums.
It really depends which way you want to approach it. Are you going to approach it from that you have buyers or that you have sellers? So if you're going to approach it from that you have buyers, then you have to go out to companies and figure out who would be interested in certain names and would they be interested in shortening names, getting acronyms, or getting a better domain name for their company. That's
Yes.
easier because if you can get a buyer, then you can approach whatever seller that you want to go and try to sell the domain name. It's harder to just say I'm a domain broker and try to get people to give you their names to sell and then just never do anything because it's much harder to find buyers than sellers.
So it would be quite simple to find sellers. So you would start with the easy thing. Find sellers. Yes.
Well, you can do anything. You can, I mean, let's use Acorn Domains. You can go there, find a domain name that somebody may be thinking of listing. You may
Yes.
be able to get more for whatever they're listing it for. You may have a conversation with them and say, "Look, I know you only want $300, but give me like a week or two to see if I can find somebody who'll pay more than that. And if I can get you more than the 300 that you want, are you interested?" Now, another option that I've liked to use before is, let's say I want $100,000 for a name, but I've offered 15 or 20%. Now, if they get me 15 or 20% on 100 and it sells for 200, I'll give them whatever the commission is on the first, but I'll give them more commission to incentivize them to sell it for more than just the $100,000 to get their commission. So I may say it's 15% at 100, but if you get 150 or 200, I'll give you 20%. And then there's more incentive for the broker to actually sell your domain for more money than just to sell it and get a quick sale and put money in his pocket. That helps too.
Okay.
So you can find domains on Acorn. You can find them anywhere you want. You can Google domain names or look in who is, or you can go to the sites and use the contact form. Find out. You can see if it's a cruddy looking site that you'll probably be able to get them to sell the domain name. But you still
Okay.
need to figure out.
Let us say a guy from Puerto Rico. Great English, still kind of fine. Region is God knows where. Well, we all know where it is, but and so a guy from Puerto Rico, nothing against Puerto Ricans, you guys are awesome, wants to become a domain name broker.
Sure.
So he's set up company. So and now he thinks, well, where should I go? Where should I go and get that first portfolio? Do I really have to go to the UK domain name market, or shall I start with .coms or .ios? What would you suggest? Let us say your friend's son wants to become a broker.
Yeah. So I have a buddy who reached out to me for a while ago, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. He saw a bunch of old videos I did, and he asked me to come back and do some videos. So I've been kind of mentoring him because he was one of the two reasons besides yourself that got me interested in doing them. So one of the things I told him last week, I think, was it doesn't matter what your first sale is. It doesn't matter what your price is. It doesn't matter whether it's a $500 or a $300 domain or a $100,000 domain. The thing that you have to nail down is your process. You have to figure out what works for you, what domains to get, whether you register yourself, whether it's somebody else's, and then you have to work on finding the buyer. And that's one of the things you have to do. Somebody else asked me about, what if I have a person's name on LinkedIn and I want to sell them their exact name, and I'm thinking about how much I should sell it. Well, something like that is just a little test, but you can't use LinkedIn emails for that, or you're going to get spammed and you're going to get blocked. So if you want to try something like that, you can do. Every person should own their own domain name. They don't, which is kind of funny. There's about 6 Adam Dickers that I know, but everyone should own their own domain name. So selling it to them for just to test it out and see if you can get it and sell it to them for $99, $150, whatever it is. Or if you want to try to sell a company on a different domain name, do that, but do it at a small rate. You will get discouraged very fast if you're constantly trying to sell domains for $1 million and nobody bites on anything. You need to at least get interest and understand how to handle that interest and how to follow up with the next email or how to do whatever you're going to do. So you have to set up a marketing plan. You have to set up a plan on how you're going to reach out to buyers and or sellers and figure out what that's going to look like, no matter what the amount.
So, and then the next tip would be do not start chasing 1 million sales.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that win $10 in the lottery and not 100,000 or a million. You need to get those first sales under your belt. Even if you register, you get a domain name from a smaller domain and you sell something on a forum that you've registered for $10. You got to get your feet wet. You got to understand how to sell, how to do customer service, how to deal with customers, because domain customers are not like regular Walmart customers or anybody else. You got to be careful and you got to figure out how to deal with them properly, and you got to figure out how you're going to contact them. Are you a phone person? Are you an email person? How are you going to communicate with these people? And maybe you have a buddy who's better at selling than you are. Maybe you have the assets, and maybe you work something out with a buddy who sells cars for a living, so he knows how to sell things, and he knows how to pick up the phone, and he's not afraid to call people. So partnerships for small things work well to get you started and to get you going and get you
So,
understand.
so what about domain name forums? As I think it was you, like years ago, I heard that you actually said so regarding this comment. So domain name forums are great for buying domain names, but you should not sell them there.
Yeah, so my comment on that, I think I made it quite a few years ago, and I'll make it again because it still holds true. You are not trying to sell domains to domainers. That's just reseller pricing, and you're basically gonna get very little. I mean, but if you still buy a name for $10 and you can get a couple hundred or 300 out of it, okay, great. But it's gonna take. I mean, I found in general that a big company buying a $300,000 domain name is sometimes often more, not more, less work than trying to sell a $500 domain name because they already know the value in it. They know what they're doing. They see the value in their brand. But you can sell domain names on forums all day, but it's not going to be. You're going to be selling for pennies above what you could be doing if you actually found a real buyer outside of domains. I don't usually sell domains to domainers.
Yes,
Although,
I have noticed that there is kind of like a tribe now of new, not both new and old domainers who hand rich the domains or get the drops or something, and they try to resell those domains for 20, 50, $100, like $99, and it looks quite sad. Well,
well, but
they do make their money, but
they're also registering new things, like it could be something to do with Trump or trademarks and stuff. They don't even know what they're registering half the time, and that's part of the problem. Now, I did sell a few domains last Christmas to Drew Rosner.
okay.
Went smooth, went great. I enjoyed that, but it was stuff that I was no longer interested in going into. And Drew's a great guy. So it went very well, and I transferred them to him, and then he paid me, and I had no worries at any point about getting money. He's a very reliable guy. So, I mean, there's some stuff that you're going to sell, but generally, the idea is not to sell things to domainers if you're looking for retail pricing.
So find domains on domain forums and sell them to the end users.
Or find them through registers or drops or other places that you can do. And for your gentleman in Puerto Rico and any other country, I would also suggest working on your local CCTLDs as well. It's hard to convince the value unless you see signs all over your country starting to display them. But there's still lots of money to be sold, and you can get much more generic domains and CCTLDs for a lot better pricing than you get a generic.com for.
So what else? So what next? So a person has got he got first bunch of domain names, bulk of domain names. Now the perfect end buyer is in the site. What should he or she do next?
Well, he's going to have to phone and figure out who is the perfect buyer for the domain name. Make sure there is interest, and make sure that both the seller and the buyer are at roughly the same price range. And he has to do that in negotiations. Most times, sellers believe that what they have is a lot more valuable than what it really is. So you also have to make sure that you don't want to broker or accept names just because they're great names if they're unsellable based on the prices. I wouldn't take a $500,000 house and try to sell it for $2 million in an area where there's nothing but $500,000 houses. So it's the same thing. You need to make sure that if you have a domain name, it's at a realistic price that somebody would be willing to pay for it. And that's hard to determine, because the determination on what a Coca-Cola would pay for a domain name as opposed to your Joe friend here is very different as well. Same domain name, different purposes, different uses. One can maybe make a lot of money off of it with their brand, and one is just trying to build a small business. It's very tough.
And so, what would you start with? Email, call, your full formula?
Yeah, I would go with the same thing as before. Email, see if people are interested, see if they open up the email. Probably they won't. Then I would start with a phone call, start to create a conversation. If not, just leave a message so that your name is there. Leave your name and your company, so it's definitely professional. Then I would add them matching the same name and company on your LinkedIn profile. And then I would go back to the email and the phone. And by about the fourth time, they're going to know your name, whether they want to or not, because they've seen it 4 or 5 times. And then hopefully by then you can start a conversation.
So do not start pushing the sale immediately on first email.
Probably not. I would say, look, this name, I'm brokering this name. It matches your business. I'd like to speak to you on the phone and see if there's any interest in using this name to acquire more leads or more customers for your business. You have to show the value that they get, not just say, look, I'm looking to sell this domain name. Your company sells the same product. You want it. I mean, you've got to show how it's going to benefit them. Like, not just, oh, premium names are great and they all sell for this much. You've got to say, look, I'd like to spend 5 minutes with you on the phone and show you how your business can benefit from owning this domain name, and hopefully increase your client base and bring in more revenue than you're going to spend on this name, because that's the purpose of it.
Okay, that's good. And you just reminded me regarding the email. Sometimes I get these emails. Oh, I have this domain name, and I like reading sales emails. They can teach you quite a lot. But the first thing I always check is who is the sender. And those Gmail email accounts, come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we've talked about this before, that you need to tell them if it's a broker, like you would with anybody else. If somebody sends you an offer, you can say, look, this can't be a respectable company sending me an email with a Gmail account or something like that. Can you please send it from your corporate email?
Yes.
And they'll gladly do it. But I've got
and the same applies. I was talking about brokers who use gmail.com.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But there's still a lot of websites out there where they still use Yahoo, Gmail, and Hotmail as their contact on their website, and you just want to slap them too. But I have there's a standing offer that I have on a domain name. A guy offered me $50,000 for it. I haven't talked to him in months, and I turned him down. He's still waiting for me to accept it, and I won't.
Steal balls, awesome.
I won't. And sometimes he sends me emails every once in a while saying, "Well, are you ready yet?"
Oh, he's good.
The answer is no, but he keeps in touch with me. So, and I keep in touch with him, and I send him emails back saying, "No, are you ready to go up to 200 yet?" And we go back and forth. So some deals, and I can tell you this from honesty, that a lot of deals that I've put out feelers for have taken 2 to 3 years to close, and some have taken a few days, a couple days, or one day. But some have taken, like we talked about it, there's quite a few domains that I've sold that take 6 months, a year. Timing is everything. So sometimes it's just they don't have the money. They'll have the money in a few months. Sometimes it's just they need a payment plan, or sometimes they're just not interested. And then somebody new comes in, and now they're interested. They may need to go through a rebranding or want to go through a rebranding. So there's a lot of different things that go on. It's not always you, and it's not always about the domain name. It's also about the buyer's ability to be ready to acquire the domain name and the brand. And they may not want to let it go to a competitor. Sometimes that can speed them up, but you better have the competitor on the hook as well that you're negotiating with. Otherwise, you're just blowing smoke.
Adam, you have been in the reputation business. So one of your businesses at the time when you had several businesses, like in the big book, so Christians will know, Solomon, I think, said that you don't send one ship to one harbor, you split all those goods in 4 parts. I think that was right, and you send them to four different harbors. And if one ship sinks, everything is good. So at those times when you had several businesses and very active ones, so one of them was a reputation repair business.
Yeah.
What would you suggest for a domain broker to establish his reputation? So he starts from nothing. He has decided, let us say, New Year resolution. Next year, I'll try domain brokering.
Well,
There are lots of goods. There are lots of buyers.
it's like a job application. The only way to get experience is to have the experience, and they want you to have the experience before you have the job. So somehow you have to have good testimonials about transactions that you've already completed before you even complete the first one. It's a little bit tricky. You need to be referred by people who trust
Yes.
you, and if you can get a couple of the good names that are out there that say this person's trustworthy, that will help you, because you're not going to have any sales to post or things that you've posted. And a lot of people don't even want their sales posted. They don't want the domains posted. They don't want the price posted. It's a very tricky thing. So you need to have a professional website, and you need to hopefully make friends with people that know people, and that you can get good references from people to say, hey, George is a really good guy who can broker a domain name. He knows a lot about the industry. Give him a shot and see how that goes, because that's the only way to get started. Otherwise, you're just a stranger calling strangers.
So, and the main things to start with for a new domain name broker.
I would
What
start
should
with
it
the small ones.
No, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Oh,
Snapchat.
LinkedIn by far is the only place to go to establish a business. And I would say one of the things you can do is LinkedIn and Quora. Quora is also very good.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I get tons and tons of questions on Quora all the time, because I've been answering domain questions on Quora for years. You get considered an expert, and people watch you and they see how you answer, and then they like your answers. So you definitely want to go somewhere and establish a reputation online as being knowledgeable. If you establish a reputation of being knowledgeable on areas, you'll get clients, you'll get people coming to you, you'll get people asking you to broker domain names, but you have to have the knowledge to back it up. I mean, if you have the knowledge to back it up, you'll get hundreds of questions on Quora, and you get points for every one you answer, and people vote up your answers, and those are worthwhile, and then you become very sought after. So you want to take part in communities, even the forums. Take part in forums and communities, and start to build your reputation for being knowledgeable, not just trying to push crap onto people, because that's not what you're there for. When I'm on Quora, the only thing I'm doing is I'm answering questions. I'm not talking about sales. I'm not talking about anything. I'm answering questions related to everything from servers to DNS to WordPress to domain names to registrars to everything like that. I'm not there. I'm there for well, I was there originally for credibility, and that's what people should be going there for, is credibility. Yes. And that's how you build up your reputation. And then people come to you.
So you just gave an amazing tip. So go there where there are possible end buyers. There are not that many sellers at all. That's like your little blue ocean.
Well, there's lots of little blue oceans. You have to just be open-minded and go. You can't always go to something thinking that the end goal is something. Sometimes you're just helping other people, but in the end, it benefits you. Like, you're nice to somebody. Here we have a thing that we do at the coffee shop here. We call it pay it forward. And what happens is the car in front of you a lot of time will say, what did that guy behind me order? I'll pay for his drink because they let me in the line. And then you just pay for the person's drink, and they get to the window and they're like totally shocked that you did it because they let you in or whatever. It's the same thing here. You have to pay forward the knowledge, which is part of the reason we're doing these interviews. I'm not greatly benefiting from these interviews, but I really am enjoying the time and being able to provide advice or help for people that need it.
Thank you, Adam. And we are enjoying like every minute.
Honestly, I enjoy it. I enjoy that afterwards I get a bunch of questions or some emails and stuff from people. And if I can help one person, then the interview is worthwhile.
So 43 minutes we are in. Should we jump to that part 2? Or is there anything else about domain name brokering?
I think when we jump to part 2, we'll find out if there's any questions they want to ask that we didn't cover.
Yes. So guys, what will happen now? Now we are jumping into the part 2, and we will review the domain name portfolio part of Mr. Murray from Aiken Domains, and his domain name is murraydomains.co.uk.
Okay.
Very interesting landing page. Just just contact page, none, clean and spot on. Good job, impressive. So, and of course, if you want to, please send me your domain name portfolio. And so, here's the portfolio.
Yeah. So this one, I think you posted to me about 5 minutes before we went on the air.
Yes. Oh yes.
But there is some real good value in this portfolio, and there's a lot of differences in what you can do. You have a really good tourist site for Visit London, where you can tie in all kinds of really good affiliates and tour agencies and everything else, and build a brand like as if it's the City for London's main site. Mobile Locksmith, also very good. That is a sellable name, and it also is a really good lead gen name.
Yes.
So I really like that one. I'll give you some numbers on these when I get done. Gold coin and gold coins is good because a lot of people right now, besides investing in cryptocurrencies, they're also investing in gold. They're starting to diverse their portfolios and put a lot of money into gold and silver right now.
Yes.
Let's see. Ticketless. Couldn't be a better time for ticketless right now than with Corona.
So one moment. I didn't ask questions. So these are the code UKs, and in the UK, this is the main domain name.
Yeah.
UK, if you want to sell a domain name, from my perspective, you have to have both versions. So in case of paintings is only .co.uk, but High Flyers, Pals, Ticketless, and Spaceport, that includes both .co.uk and .uk, and UK are only UKs.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. No problem. I'm aware of the issue with that at the moment. So, Paintings is a great site, obviously, to sell paintings and to give information about paintings. And there's tons of sites, not tons, but a few good sites where you can go and you can buy copies or prints of different paintings and things like that. That's also a really good site, but there's a lot of people interested in art. So there's a lot of things you can do with paintings. And if I had to, again, I'll give you prices on that one after. High Flyers. It's okay for me. I'm not huge on that. Pals is good. Ticketless, everything's going ticketless right now. Nobody wants cash. Nobody wants to touch anything anybody else has touched. I think it's a great name as well. Yes. Spaceport may take a bit more time to really have value, more value, but I think a lot of these are good names. Now, if I had to look at what I would build a site on myself, I would definitely build a site on paintings. For informational and indexing and getting traffic and affiliate stuff. And there's a lot of stuff you can do with that if you're interested in art. If you're not, then I probably wouldn't do that one. High Flyers, be interesting for a drone brand. I think that would be an interesting name for that one to build, because those are high flyers, and you have an instant brand right there with that. So I like that one. Pals could be anything. It could be a friend zone site. Not that I'm big on the friend zone stuff, but it could be just a pen pal type site where people reach out and talk to people, or it could be a brand. Check what begins with PAL, what acronyms are PAL anywhere. I'm sure there's a lot of companies in the UK for PAL or PAL. PAL S could be service. It could be anything. So you really just need to look for a company with PAL. Ticketless. I like the name. I just got to figure out what we could do with it. But I think that name has a lot of value. It could be an online ticketing service, actually, like the movie theaters have now, and airplanes, where you get your tickets online and you just keep the barcode on your phone and then go through. So I think there's lots that can be done with that one. So if I had to price some of these out, I would put paintings.co.uk. I would probably price that one at about, I'd say $30K, at least 30 to 50. But that's
in the US.
Yeah. And I would price Ticketless even higher, only because of the future with everything that's going cashless and ticketless. I think that's a hold for now, but I think it's going to be a really good name. And I think at some point, some company's going to come for this in the 5 to 6K figures for that one. Could be as high as 100K. If you're willing to wait, or if you're willing to put something up there and reach out to some of these companies that currently are going ticketless now and see if you can get them to build on that site and get a bunch of companies interested in going ticketless. I mean, there's sports games, there's soccer, or football as you guys like to call it. There's football, there's all kinds of concerts and sports that are all going to be going ticketless now, e-tickets. So I would see if I could brand something, and all it takes is 1 or 2 partnerships on ticketless, and you're making a lot more than 100K off that domain name. Actually, it's something I'm going to look at when I get off of this thing and see if it's available in CA or some other ones, because I really like ticketless. And I own seats.ca, but I like ticketless better because it's the future. So that one I really like. I would definitely, but you're going to have to do some work on that one and build it. High Flyers, like I said, find a really good drone company in the UK, and that's a winner for that one for sure.
So what about this domain name, Britannia? If you knew that Britannia.co.uk is owned by a bank, and it is the case, I did check it, and by Coop Bank, some smaller bank in the UK.
So,
but solid name, very, very solid name. So Britannia.co.uk is owned by a bank.
Yeah, so I would definitely keep it on. I would not have the domain resolve at all. No park page, no nothing for this domain name.
That .co.uk, sorry, redirects to the bank name. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is I would leave that Britannia name so it's not resolving anywhere. So there's no conflict. There's no possible trademark conflict. There's nothing. And I would reach out to the bank and tell them, look, I have this domain name, or the company that uses this domain no longer wants it. I notice you're using britannia.co.uk. I don't want to do anything that's going to infringe on the trademark, and neither does the previous company. But we would like to see the name go to the right hands. Are you interested in taking this name on for this price? And then I'd put a price on it.
And what could be the price?
Honestly, I would put it, just because it's something like this, you don't want to, I wouldn't want to go too crazy. I'd put a price on it of 10,000 euros.
Okay, should we check the companies starting with PALS?
We can do that, sure.
So here is a quick thing. So this is a longer address, but you can start with beta.companieshouse.gov.uk, and let us see.
I'm ready to step.
PALS company. Let us see companies. So PALS.
I even do PAL. So you could do PALS or you could do PAL, because the S could be a service. Could be anything.
Just have a look.
Yeah, there's quite a few, seems to be.
PALS Finance, PALS Football, PALS Franchise, and 275 matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a few. And then the other thing you can do is you can look on the stock exchange and see who is PALS or PAL using the stock symbol on all the major stock exchanges. It's from the UK. So there's lots of different things you can do with that.
What I was saying, drones is a good shout.
Yeah, no, especially now because everything's going drone and ticketless. So you don't have to have all the domains. You don't have to have 10,000 domains. You just have to have 1 or 2 and put your effort into building it or selling it, and you'll do well. But I like these names.
And the profile. Look at the profile.
4, yeah, I mean, credibility, instant credibility. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Credibility. He's been there since 2012. People have liked his posts, and he's posting. So that's instant credibility as well. I don't know if that's really him, but maybe it is.
That's him.
That's a pretty good looking picture, I guess.
Oh.
But no, I think Ticketless is a good name, and I think that the paintings domain. I mean, there's got to be somebody who you know who's interested in paintings. Every house has paintings on the wall. Every house has prints. There's lots of that. Maybe I would get into some of the art shows that are going on and online or something, and start seeing if you can get some interesting. There's lots of interesting stuff you can do.
And now the next thing, actually, it made me think. So I did. So quick thing. You check the image, search Google for image, and what about the credibility now? You would see Craig Scott.
So, is that him or is it not him? Probably not.
So, what would you do with forums? Would you put your domain brokerage name, and Twitter handles, Facebook handles, or your own name as a brand?
So forums is somewhat irrelevant unless it's a forum you've been on, like he's been on for a while. Yes. I would definitely have my business and my website and my LinkedIn profile in my signature. Your avatar can be whatever you want it to be. It's not as important. You may like something. Who knows if you like Star Wars or whatever, you can do that. But I definitely have those links because those are backlinks to your profile that are extremely valuable, especially to your LinkedIn. But that's the only one I would link it to, is to your LinkedIn profile.
And regarding your profile, and regarding your physical profile, would you say that you are Adam Dicker, or you would say something else?
So for me, I always use my real name. It's not a common thing that's done on forums, but I think it gives you more credibility if people actually know you're a real person than if I post something like, I don't know, I'm not going to, hockey lover or something like that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to get any indexed value from hockey lover as
Let's say
opposed to getting index value from.
Hockey domains. Yes.
Okay, if that was all I was selling, then it'd be great. If I was selling UK domains and I wanted to be UK domains, that'd be great too. But I wouldn't post something like SpongeBob SquarePants or something dumb that doesn't make it. That's irrelevant to you and your business. It
Yes.
doesn't show any credibility.
So that's awesome. And so we are done with the review. Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Here's a question for you from Wizard Domains.
Are you back, and where have I been? So I've answered this before. I haven't really gone anywhere. I have not been in the limelight or done a lot of interviews until Helmuts reached out to me, and I spoke to him, and we talked about it, and then I decided I would do some and I would enjoy it. I have no interest in being back fully in the domain community. And as a figure, you get attention all the time. Some of it's negative, some of it's positive. The reason that I decided to get out of the limelight is because I mentioned this before, when the mess came about me letting go some employees, and then they told customers that they were all ripped off, and then there were nonsense threads about me everywhere, and it was like 1,000 people when only 5 people had a beef. It got to me when they actually started to go on my kids' profiles, who were like 12 and 13 at the time, and telling them their dad's a criminal, we're going to murder your dad, and all this stuff, when none of it was true. So I decided just to go on buying and selling domains in the background, and I'm happily running other companies and other businesses, and not worrying about the he said, she said crap that goes on in an industry. So really haven't gone anywhere. I've been here. I'm still reachable. But I'm not interested in attending any trade shows or doing any other interviews besides what I'm doing here on this show.
And of course, those who are watching, you can ask your questions, and I'll put them up on the screen. And yeah, go on.
Yeah, and there's no question that I'll be shy to answer, so feel free.
Absolutely. If it is not deleted by me, then it will go on the screen. Adam, if a person feels that he is really bad with negotiations, can he or she contact you and ask, Adam, could you help me out with the sales process of this domain? I have a domain for sale. I have a broker who has approached me, and I feel that I'm in the ring with a professional, and I will lose there.
Yeah, so I don't have time to run through and find clients for everybody's domain names. But if you have somebody who you're negotiating with, I'll certainly help you do some negotiations with that person, or take over the call with a broker. I mean, listen, I do that with my car. I'm not a mechanic. I'm useless around the house. If I put up a painting, it would definitely be crooked. And notice how I use the word paintings again. So no, you always go to somebody who has a little bit more skills than you. It's like the web designer. Everybody thinks that their cousin or nephew is a good web designer, but they only have a bit more knowledge than the person who's looking for it. So yeah, I have no problem with picking up a phone and making the call for you, and helping out negotiate if you already have an almost sale done and you're just trying to figure out the price. I have no problem with doing that. I actually enjoy that part of it.
Okay, here's a...
yeah. I would wonder too.
Thanks for the reviews.
I would wonder too, and your hair looks good, by the way. No, it's interesting how people listen. I've had fake profiles show up on me since I started at GoDaddy to now, where the people would put up pictures of me on Facebook and start calling people and telling them that I was, the scam. I'm stuck and I need $50 or $100. I need a cab, and I'll pay you when I get back from whatever country they said I was in. So it's not surprising that people use other pictures to catfish people, either in the internet business or anywhere else.
Okay, here you go. Here's another question.
Oh, this is a very good question. Do I have any regrets from earlier years letting anything go for too cheap in hindsight? Yes, I'll say yes and no. Regrets are for suckers, and you can't turn the clock back. But Do I have a few of them that I may have let go too cheap? There's absolutely no question about it. I think I've said this before. I owned probably about 22letter.coms. I owned Oklahoma.com, marriages.com, a bunch of other really high-end ones. Did I sell them for too cheap? Looking at it now, 20 years later, yeah. But those were the prices back then. So it could have been, some of them I did hold for over 10, 15 years, like the MD.ca, and it paid off. You can't hold them all because you still need money to live and money to be able to buy and grow your business. So do I have any regrets? I'll say yes and no. The real answer is probably no, because that's what it was selling for back then. But I definitely learned a lot from every transaction that went well and that didn't go well, and everything that I've done in domaining has been a learning experience. I still don't think I've done 5% of what I'm going to do. So that's not from regrets, though. That's from learning of what people really want versus what companies put out there that's useless for them.
Yes, it just reminds a song of Edith Piaf, and of course, you speak French as well. Yes, no regrets. I have no regrets.
Yeah.
What are the traits that make actually a good domainer, and opposite traits that kill a person as a domainer? So transparency would be one thing.
So emotions kill a domainer.
Okay.
Emotions meaning people that get angry with lowball offers and throw them out. People that don't take offers, no matter how small, seriously. People that, again, emotions about being too attached to a domain name, thinking that it's worth more than it is. There's a lot of emotions that come in selling, and you have to be able to separate yourself from the transaction and look specifically at the domain name. And you also have to realize that, look, if I've had this domain name for 20 years and I haven't had any really serious offers, and then I finally get an offer for $3,000, $2,000, whatever, maybe that's all it's ever worth, and maybe I was wrong. So emotions are important. Being able to converse and be able to negotiate is extremely important, or you're going to leave money on the table. And knowing when to sell, and not only, obviously, you need to know what to buy, because it all starts with, if you buy the wrong things, you're not going to sell anything. But then if you buy the right things and you don't know what to do and you're just a hoarder, you still have to know when to sell. So there's a lot of differences. There's a lot of emotions. You have to know how to run a business. And I would say that, and this won't get me very positive feedback, but most domainers don't know how to run a business. They don't treat it as a business, and they need to treat it as a business. And they need to know that a business has expenses. They need to know how to do their taxes properly so that they are claiming the expenses they're using. But most importantly, you have to know how to run a business. Otherwise, it's usually pretty unprofessional, and people can tell that.
Yes, running like a business. It reminds me a story of a guy. I cannot call him. He was fantastic guy, Dutch.
Mhm.
He's a big on the big side, always positive, beautiful smile, and life is great for him. So he was running a domain name company together with his friend, and maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and they were buying domain names of the bankrupt companies.
Mhm.
So they were buying newspapers. They were buying newspapers and going to the bankruptcy lists,
Mhm.
and then they were contacting the people that were put as, what do you call them? Not the managers, but who were selling off
The property, the guys who are selling all the property, the asset manager or whatever.
the asset management managers. Yes, and then they were asking, "Hey, this company has got some domain names? We would buy them off." And yeah, they were buying those domains. They were selling them for 500, 300 euros, something like that, and the business was fine. Two of them, two pals, two friends, and then there was one company, and they had one brand name in all the European for all the European countries, all of them.
Yeah.
And but there were so many of them, and they just thought, should we really pay that money? Should we not? And they said, okay, that's fine. We'll take it. And then after a while, they were approached, and that is a real story. They were approached by Philips.
Okay.
They were approached by Philips, and they were asked, are those domain names for sale?
Mhm.
And they were thinking, oh, Philips, well, how to deal with them? But Dutch, they're always chill and happy,
Yeah.
and said, well, make your offer. And Philips sent them off, and they said, with a contract, and they said, the first one was just the offer. They said 22,000 euros.
Right.
There is one thing to leave money on the table,
Yeah.
but when you have a domain name portfolio that will eat your renewables and there 22,000 euros on the table, okay, can you show us your agreement? Of course, Philips should have their own lawyers. We want to see your agreement. Let's see, maybe we can do something. And Philips sent their agreement, and in the agreement it was said 22,000 for each domain name.
So you had to read the fine print.
Real story.
Oh, wow.
Real story. They paid it cool. They paid it very cool.
I'm sure not really. I'm sure they were dancing around their house or apartment or wherever they were.
Oh, God.
Good for them.
They sold the portfolio and then they split. They had half a year break. And my Dutch friend,
now he's still smiling.
He's still smiling. His life gets better and better, and he's good business-wise. The other guy, he wasn't that good on the business side. And well, there is no more money. Money just it's like a water.
Well, it doesn't end well. You need to put some aside and not put it all into your next investment. Lots of people cash out big on a big investment and they blow it all because they think they're smart and they know what they're doing on the next one or the next one after that. That happens a lot. That's not uncommon. Very common, actually.
So what are the main business practices that are done wrong?
Well, I think that if you spend, let's say you have a domain portfolio and you pay $5,000 for the whole portfolio and you sell a domain name for $10,000, you should take out the $5,000 that you had, put it aside, put it back in and start working with profits. So if you buy 10 names for $100 and you sell one even for $300, take out the original 100 and put it aside and maybe a little bit of profit at it and then reinvest some of it all. But you never keep putting all your eggs in one basket, or you're like you are with your house. You could be house rich but mortgage but cash poor. It's the same thing with domains. Everybody is domain rich, but can be very cash poor if you have it all in assets. So you have to make sure that you're taking some out and diversifying a little bit here and there.
How do you diversify?
Well, I have a lot of assets and different things that I own and different companies that I work with and stuff, and I don't put it all in. First of all, my wife would never let me put it all back in anyway. So you have a good wife who's financially conscious. She makes sure that some of it gets put aside.
So different assets, cryptos, shares.
Yeah, cryptos, real estate, could be anything. There's lots of different things that you can put money into.
Okay, and then there is another question.
Even building another online business. No. So I first was selling computers. I had a computer company before the internet got really started. I was running my own computer company back in the day. And then from there, the internet came on, and then I started an ISP service. And from there, I just started to get more interested in computers and just kept going. And that led me to the internet and domains.
Okay, awesome. So it seems we are 1 hour 10 minutes in. Anything for the end, and what could we talk about next time?
So that's what I was going to suggest, that if anybody wants to send you a topic or suggest a topic, we're certainly open to topics and new things to talk about. Anything else for me at the end? Nope, just my contact information if anybody wants to reach out. My cell phone number is 416-884-0535. 416-884-0535, and my email is adam.dicker@gmail.com.
That's awesome. Could you repeat them, please?
Sure.
Just in case.
Phone number is 416-884-0535, and email is adam.dicker@gmail.com.
And of course, +1. You've got to add it. Adam is also on WhatsApp. That is what I have discovered.
That's true. And I respond to WhatsApp almost instantly. So that's probably the quickest way to get a hold of me.
That's great. That's great. And we have another .co.uk domain portfolio for another time. Let us see what comes next time. Maybe we can review two portfolios. Let us see what is what.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you all. And is there one domain name you could, yes, a domain broker could help you with? Maybe one domain name.
Reputationrepair.com. So if somebody wants to sell that and broker that for me, it's a 6-figure name, and I'm happy to work with any broker that wants to work with it. And off we go.
Reputationrepair.com. And before that, that was a business?
Yeah, it was a business.
And some numbers? Turnaround?
Oh, it was doing very well. It was very busy. It just wasn't an area that I wanted to focus on too much. But there's lots of stuff that can be done with reputation repair, even taking out links for people that are in Google that they don't like. I mean, there's so many different things. Removing images. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do.
And next Wednesday is 23rd, Adam. Christmas hats, or let us leave the time for the families?
Oh, no, I'm happy to be here. It's up to you.
I'm in.
Okay.
Thank you. Then hopefully till the next Wednesday. Thank you all. Thank you, Mary, for your domain name portfolio.
Thank you.
And thank you, Adam, of course.
My pleasure.